Yeah, it's been an amazing event so far. We've hosted 3 events already in the built environment. So on building renovations, how we can accelerate action there. On integrated energy, how we can link up renewables, smart buildings, battery storage. And then we just held a roundtable on the Inflation Reduction Act, working with our network to really unlock action between our corporates, our government stakeholders, the policy makers, to really accelerate action so we can decarbonise the built environment, which we know is a huge task. So we need to really collaborate to accelerate action in that area. It's been great to meet so many EP100 members this week. We've seen some real leadership in the areas of built environment, energy efficiency. I think people are realising now we've had a European energy crisis. You know, we can no longer rely on cheap fossil fuels. We need to ramp up work on building renovations, electrify everything, buildings, heating, and really use energy in a much smarter way, because at the moment we still waste far too much energy, and it just makes business sense. You know, it's good for business, it's good for the bottom line, it's great for emissions, but it also provides lots of jobs as well. Yeah, so I think personal highlight was hosting the 2 events that I've done. So on buildings, we had a number of companies, EP100 companies in there, talking about what they've been doing to accelerate action on built environment. And also the integrated energy piece, it's a really fascinating area. We can gain lots of carbon savings from it, also lots of financial savings, and there's been some really interesting discussions around that. It's an area we want to grow and do more on within Climate Group, so we've had some really great feedback and people wanting to get involved in this agenda, because it's critical if we're going to hit net zero. Yeah, it's amazing. I've had so many great conversations this week. It's, you know, it can be challenging working in climate change, and you go through ups and downs, but meeting so many excellent people, passionate people, having a room full of super smart people really inspires you to push on and do as much as you can. And we're all working towards the same goal. But yeah, it's been great to have so many interesting conversations this week, and that's what we want from Climate Week. You know, it's going to be the 20th anniversary of Climate Group next year, but with Climate Week, we want to get those conversations going. It's great to showcase people in these events and showcase our members' achievements. Also, we want all these conversations to happen. And you know, I've talked to some really excellent companies, people we already know, people we want to know more, to see what more we can do together. Yeah, I think it's such an important area. It's around 40% of emissions. You know, in New York where we are, it's around 70% of emissions. New York has brought in some really interesting policies and regulations on building standards, building codes, trying to electrify everything. No new gas connections by 2027. And they know in New York it's a huge task, so we need to do a lot more. In COP, we can look at hopefully further accelerating action. Yeah, it's still far too slow. The progress we're making is far too slow. I'm particularly interested in building renovations. It remains stubbornly at about 1% per year. We need to be at 3 or 4% per year if we're to actually halve emissions by the end of the decade, which is rapidly approaching. You know, 2030 used to seem like a distant future figure. It's you know, a few years away now. It's going to be there before we know it. And then to get to net zero buildings by 2050. So a huge task, but that collaboration is what we need to achieve this. So we want to continue to grow the movement for energy efficiency. We want to embed it in every single corporate decarbonisation strategy. We're launching the Renovation Revolution campaign, which is to accelerate the rate of building renovations, deep carbon savings within Europe later on this year. And also we want to continue to collaborate, meet lots of interesting people, bring together our networks of corporates, of governments, to further action on built environment and energy efficiency.